Hey everybody, welcome in, it's Nova here. Today we're going to be looking at a achievement guide for Frostpunk 2. This one is going to be Power Overwhelming 2.0. To get this one, you must have twice as much heat abundance as you do heat demand. We'll get into that in a second. The difficulty that you have to play on for this achievement does not matter, so for showcasing purposes, we will be doing so on Citizen. Can you do this on Captain, the highest difficulty? Absolutely, but it's not necessary. For those of you who would like a more generalized beginner's guide to Frostpunk 2, I do have a video that I will link in the description below. It kind of explains a lot of the things that I'm doing here. I'm kind of just doing it quickly so that we can get started and get going right away. So the first thing you want to do, though, is get your first extraction district on, so that you don't have people freezing to death. And get your first couple of housing districts down so then you can reduce your cold problem, because that will very quickly lead to cold deaths if you do not manage it. And I strongly recommend also to expand your initial extraction district right away as soon as you're able to do so, because that will increase its output and give you a little bit of extra leg room to work with. So once you've done that, go ahead, make the council hall and your first research institute, so then you can get your research started. Alright, so now that we've got the extraction district ready, we can head in and do that first initial vote. And you can go straight into this on Citizen. On higher difficulties, you're more than likely going to have to negotiate with the groups to even pass this first vote, which is kind of crazy. I actually had it fail on stream and it was hilarious. And so you can do the research, the idea tree. I recommend the dust coal mine, even though it takes more workforce and has lower coal output, because as you'll notice, the materials demand is significantly lower. And material scarcity is a really easy way to have a lot of squalor. Alright, so now that we are set with that, we're going to go ahead and make that logistics district as soon as we have the heat stamps to do so. Now that we've got our basic heat source established, and you get the baby, the first baby, you know, bless my baby. So once you build the logistics district, Frostland will become available. And you'll want to head up here, head to the Frozen Bay, because there's another spot beyond it where the old Dreadnought is, and that's where you get your oil source. So we're actually going to go ahead, and I'm going to pause the guide here, and I'm going to skip ahead to that segment, because that's the next most important part of the achievement guide today. Alright, so this is the next segment of the guide. This is when you get to the old Dreadnought site. I'm going to briefly showcase this part. So once you get to the desolate coast, you will need to get a trail or a skyway to that area. I would strongly advise the skyway because it allows greater transport capacity of your stuff. So we'll get to the next part in a moment. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is head for the old Dreadnought once you've got access, either by skyway or trail. It's really your choice. So I'm sending the group out now. It is going to take them a little bit to establish at that base. And then I'll show you guys something else. What you'll want to do, it's not necessarily a matter of, like, when, it's like if you got time. I'd recommend going for the advanced fracturing pump jack, if at all possible, if you're able to do so, or at the very least that first pump, because you will need that in order to extract the oil from the old Dreadnought site. If you can get to the advanced pump jack of your choice, even better, if you're able to do so. Yep, so now they're going to be working on it for a little bit. And because we are ready, we're looking good. Oh. Yeah, you'll want to keep an eye on your coal supply because it does dwindle pretty quickly early on. Okay, now we've gotten to oil. It's ready.
To work at the old dreadnought. New London relies on us.
And then you'll want to get the frost breaking done as quickly as possible for this area. So then you can start building. Because you don't have a lot of time to do that. So you'll want to do that as quickly as possible. We got the advanced pumps, so we are looking good. Yeah, you only really need, like, the 3 frost breaks right there that I just did. So then you build your extraction district. And you'll want to keep an eye on your home city as much as you can. You want to make sure that you don't have people dying from the cold because that's going to create a whole other issue. Use overdrive as you need to, but do be aware of where it is. Like, don't, you know, don't overdo it. The game will tell you if you're getting too close to, oh, come on, 1 prefab short? Okay. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. And then it will start pumping right away. Okay. So even though we have the advanced pump, I'm gonna wait for a little bit before I build it, and I'm gonna show you guys why. Having it available is really good, though. So then we can turn that generator on, so then this colony doesn't freeze. Because when you get to this point in the game, you really gotta be careful. You don't want everything to freeze. Yep, and then we've got enough oil here. So your main objective at this point is to send 75 oil supply to New London. And you can kind of adjust that if you want. What I like to do with the colonies is, like, do just enough so that it's, like, +1 to make sure that it, you know, stays. Cool. So then when you get to this point, this is the next part of the guide here, is the easiest way to get this achievement is to do Defeat the Frost. Is it possible with Embrace the Frost? Probably. But is it going to be easier with this one? Yeah. And I'm going to show you guys why that is.
Remember to make sure your containment
so when we get there...
at all times.
Oh. Yeah, let's turn that off. Okay. Yep, and we've got a slight housing problem, so I'm going to try and address that real quick. Oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, hold on. Yeah, because I need 100 prefabs. There we go. Yes. And then the pilgrims are, of course, pissed off that we picked that option, but you can't make everybody happy. Okay, so now we've got the pumps established. So now we have saved ourselves from the heating issue. You don't really need your extraction district anymore for coal if there's even anything left. There may not even be anything left. Like, you may have run out at this point. If you do, the situation is critical. And if you're not there with the pumps, you need to get there ASAP.
Some chemical food added.
So then what I'm going to show you guys is the surplus injectors. What this does is it unlocks the heat surplus generator ability, which burns all excess fuel to increase output of all districts by up to 15%. And I'm going to show you guys exactly how that helps us with this achievement. So if you look up here in the upper middle...
in support of steward leadership.
Got all of the PA announcements.
All upstanding citizens are invited to join them.
Okay, so, and you can see up here in the upper middle your heat surplus. So initially the generator only outputs as much heat as it needs to, unless you build too many districts and then you've got a deficit. So you might be wondering, well, how do we double the generator's output over the demand? Well, that's where the ability that I was just talking about comes in. Yeah, looks like they need more, so I'm going to send... There we go. Yeah, because you don't want your people to freeze to death, obviously. Looks like I need some more housing, but I'll address that in a minute. So the part of the problem is you need additional steam cores to build that upgrade. You need 4. Well, in order to build the oil pumps, you need 1. If you don't build the advanced pumps, you save 1, but you only have 3. So you gotta do a little more exploring. So something that can also help is having an additional logistics district available to increase your scouting team capacity. And also I can show you guys, if you go under Frostland in the research and you pick the scouts headquarters, you can decrease the threat level of the Frostland sites, and that can make it easier to get further along. So we're gonna go ahead and do those things and try to rush getting the next core that we need to build the surplus injectors and show the achievement's capacity. So do that quick. Alright, I'm gonna pause the run here and skip ahead to the next segment. Alright, so the last part of the guide here is making those surplus injectors that we talked about. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and build those. Get those going. Make an extra pump jack, because we're gonna need a lot of oil. So you're gonna have it built here in just a moment. And then here's what you do. So to get the achievement to start to trigger, what you need to do is activate the surplus injectors. And then you'll notice that the surplus is up here. And then you can see what your actual demand is. And what you can do is, with that extra pump, is you can transport a lot more oil to the main city hub. And then you can see that now our surplus is 1460 and our demand is 1120, which gets us the achievement because it has to be double. The surplus has to be double or more of what your current demand is. Hopefully this guide was helpful for you guys for Power Overwhelming 2.0. If there's any other achievements that you guys are interested in, let me know in the comments below. See you next time, everyone.